Up, family? What's up, everybody? Let's get it going. Blessings, blessings. We got royalties. Luis, ready for Market Monday. Eric Poole, ready for Market Monday. Let's go. Crypto Gardener. I love gardening that crypto. We got Dr. Jacqueline Thomas Ali. We got Ron Abels. Good to see you here, Ron. We got Jay Morton. Nice. We got Martha. Martha's an OG. We got StreamYard. All right, let's go. Erica Green. Cool. All right, so, I mean, it's been a quite uneventful market. Like, stuff's just chopping around, but we definitely have some wins, and we've got some good stuff under our belt. What's up, Jamie? Good to see you in here. Nice to see you. All right, let me get my stuff pulled up here, and then we can get right away. Let me look at my notes, make sure I didn't forget nothing. Nope. Nope. We are good. All good in the hood. All right. Go ahead and present it here. I will be able to see the comments this time around, so if you guys have questions throughout, make sure to drop them in, and I'll go ahead and answer them. And yeah, let's get it going. Excuse me if I'm a little screened out. I got a lot of screens here. So let's get it going. Share screen, entire screen. Let's do this screen right here. No, this one. All right, welcome back to Market Monday. Yours truly. Let's go ahead and get that. Yep, awesome. On 126, man, can you believe we're already almost a month through the year? I feel like New Year's was just yesterday. What's up, Michael Chang? What's up, sweet mommy? What's up, Sali? No, but for real, time is flying by when you're grinding, Oh, man, what a time. Crazy time. Crazy time of fast speed, Everything's going so fast nowadays. My AI is doing work quicker than I can, It's pretty gnarly. What's up, Larry? Man, me and you got to catch up, man. Long time no talk. I want to hear how it's going, man. What's up, Larry? He's the Schmidt, man. That's the Schmidt. His last name is Schmidt. All right, cool. Let's talk about some stuff going on in the market right now. Right now, there's a crazy thing going on with the Japanese yen. Okay, so if you have been paying attention, Japanese rates have been going through the roof. Okay, and really what we're seeing is a very weird time right now. This is a very crazy time to be alive. Like, we haven't really seen a time like this since probably the 80s. Okay, and what we're seeing is crazy monetary reset take place. A crazy monetary reset. Like, the whole world is changing and faith is being lost in currency. And that's why we saw, gold just hit 5,000. Silver's at 115. And we called that in the ARC too. I hope some of y'all got into that silver trade. That came around quick. I'll say that. That came around quick. But we're not here to talk about trades. We're here to talk about what's going on in the market. So this was the chart of the yen in the last 2 days. You could see there was a huge sell-off. The US dollar was getting stronger than the Japanese yen. So usually the Japanese yen is, it's always like, it's a safe haven type of currency. Like, when the world is scared, like, they would just go into the yen. And that was because the Japanese central bank, the Japanese government, they were very stable. In a time of uncertainty, you would have a lot of flight to the yen. There was also this crazy carry trade, this $1 trillion carry trade, where Japanese interest rates were so down compared to the rest of the world that people would just borrow Japanese currency. And remember, the way prices work is when you have more buyers, prices go up. When you have more sellers, prices go down, right? So people would borrow Japanese yen and sell it for dollars. So usually the US dollar would be stronger. And you can see here, this is a zoomed out chart, not really too zoomed out, but from 2022 to 2025. And what the Japanese government has a tendency to do is step in and intervene, right? When the dollar yen exchange rate gets too high, They step in, and what do? They buy a bunch of yen back, right? Because when you buy something off the market, it causes its value to go up. So it would push the price of the dollar yen down. And again, they did it here. Again, they did it here. And what was kind of interesting, and what I'm understanding is this is a little bit of a rumor, but also maybe confirmed. I'm not sure. But you can see here the US Treasury was asked by the New York Federal Reserve to conduct a rate check, traditionally a harbinger of imminent central bank intervention in a given currency for the USD JPY. A highly unusual move, which is USD bearish. So the Bank of Japan, right? The Bank of Japan told the Ministry of Finance, the Japanese Ministry of Finance, to then go to the US Treasury, to then go to the New York Fed to intervene in Japanese markets, right? Because they had to get the price of the USD JPY rate down significantly because it was starting to potentially show some cracks. And that's also why precious metals have been flying, and it's just been a very weird time right now in the market, okay? You can see the Bank of Japan meeting was neutral, no major reaction. There was a massive sloppy sell-off from 159 to 157, which doesn't seem like a big drop, but when you're trading currencies, that's a very big drop, right? Like this is a range right here of 130 to 160, right? To go from 159 to 157, that's a pretty big drop, right? A lot of confusion is as to what is going on, but it eventually became clear that the Fed did a rate check, and this was public information that banks were allowed to share. So I guess it is official. Hours after ZH, the Wall Street Journal chimed in, writing that the rate check was a clear signal by U.S. and Japanese authorities that they are prepared to step in to arrest the slide in the yen, prompting the dollar's biggest one-day percentage change drop against the Japanese currency since August, right? Because last August, there was also the scare, Japan is raising interest rates, and, there's this whole world that borrowed a bunch of Japanese yen, and they have to now sell it, and they have to unwind leverage, which means they have to sell assets and all this stuff. Like that happened back in August of 2024. That was a very scary time to be an investor because markets dropped really fast. And a lot of people right now are thinking, hey, is the market going to nuke, or is there going to be a black swan event because of this Japanese yen thing? My speculation is there probably won't be, because it's probably priced in some way, shape, or form. But there's a lot of fear on the street, let's say, right? And you can see that right here, the crypto market, crypto fear and greed index, the sentiment right now on crypto is very fearful, right? It's not an extreme fear. Look at that. November 21, 2025, we went into extreme fear, right? Look at that right here, right? That was extreme fear. And usually times of peak fear and times of peak greed, or just really times of fear and times of greed, do coincide with market tops and market bottoms. So be very careful about, getting manipulated into an opinion or having a sentiment or an opinion. Like right now, if you probably check social media, there's a lot of bad sentiment on crypto right now, right? Crypto has been going sideways for 3 years. Bitcoin's been going sideways for 1 year, over 1 year now, right? And it's a weird market to be in when everything else, gold goes up to 5,000, silver does a 2x in the span of 2 months. It's a crazy time. But remember, Warren Buffett says you want to buy when others are fearful, right? And sell when others are greedy. So there could be something there, but just be aware that right now there's a lot of fear, and it's very easy to get manipulated, to get discouraged. And I'll tell you that, it's just the way things go, right? When price is down, you have the most emotion to be fearful. When price is high, you have the most emotion to stay greedy and euphoric, and I'm not going to sell because we're going to go to 1 million. It's just human psychology. That's all price really is. Okay, but let's look at some other stuff. So check it out. NVIDIA just invested $2 billion in CoreWeave to boost data center build out. Okay, now I'm not sure if anybody here was watching some of the panels from the World Economic Forum that takes place in Davos. It's like where literally all the wealthiest, most powerful people like meet and discuss their ideas on the world and things like this. Like Elon Musk was there, the CEO of NVIDIA was there, Larry Fink was there, Jamie Dimon was there, and a lot of them are very excited about the growth that AI has right now, right? And the market, like Wall Street and traditional investments, right? They look at something called capex, which is capital expenditures, right? Like, is NVIDIA making money? Okay, what are they doing with that money? They're reinvesting it back into companies. Like here, they put a big sum of money into CoreWeave, right? And there's a lot of money going into the system right now. And what that really is liquidity, right? And as long as we keep having this liquidity, likely some form or some part of the market is going to continue doing well, right? And so NVIDIA, which we actually got a buy signal for today, is it's making investments. I forgot to actually include some slides, but this week we have some big earnings from Microsoft and Amazon, I think. And this is just like a very important time right now, especially in earnings season, to make sure that these companies continue making more investments, continue making more profits, continue spending those profits, building out infrastructure. Like right now, one thing that was very interesting is like everybody's got this idea that AI is stealing a bunch of jobs. And this is what the panel with the CEO of NVIDIA, what he was covering was that actually they're going through a labor shortage right now because there's such crazy demand to build out infrastructure, to build out these data centers. And I know that there's big projects going on in the US. I know that there's big projects going on in Europe. You know, one of my clients that I do one-on-one coaching with, he's getting ready to, in a couple of months, travel to a different country to go and build the data center out there, doing some construction. Like there's some crazy build out going on. It's also why you've seen the precious metals like go parabolic, is because now the world is realizing that we really need energy. We really need a lot of power. We really need a lot of infrastructure to make it all happen, right? Elon Musk is talking about putting satellites into outer space and having forever renewable energy from the sun because the sun never stops shining in outer space, you know? And the coldness of space can do some cooling, and it's just very crazy. And actually, I think it was a podcast with Elon Musk, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's just this clip. But he was talking about how the future, everybody's talking about, you know, universal basic income. He's saying it's not going to be universal basic income. It's going to be universal high income. So apparently, you know, just basically with robotics, where robotics is going to be, and we covered that in the ARC last year. But, you know, with where AI and robotics is going to be, it's going to create this crazy age of abundance where probably 10, 20 years from now, everybody here has a robot, right? Everybody's quality of life is improved. That robot's probably going to cost no more than a cell phone costs today, you know, and just everybody's going to be taken care of. The elderly, you're going to be able to have your chores taken, you know, there's just going to be like this crazy age of human needs are very much met, right? And it's interesting. And it's kind of the optimistic viewpoint of the future. But right now, the future is being built. And this is what is driving this market, is the growth. And this is what is driving the United States government is, you know, there's two ways you can get out of debt, or there's two ways you can deal with the deficit. One is you pay it back and you pay it off by increasing revenue and decreasing spending. And if they do that, it's going to cause the stock market to collapse. Look at what happened last year with not just the tariffs, but with Elon Musk and his Doge thing, right? As soon as they start pulling funding from government programs,
You muted.
I mean, I basically was saying the way that you can get out of that debt, which is what the U.S. is really wanting to do, is grow their way out of the debt, right? Okay, the debt is so big, that's never going to stop, but maybe we can keep producing more than we consume, right? And then that can create that deviation. You can see $2 billion into CoreWeave. That's huge. We want to see more of this, right? As soon as this spending stops, right? I hear a lot of smart people saying that as soon as the spending stops, that's when the market is done, right? That's when the market is done. Nice, Tammy. Good to have you. Said late to the party. The party's just getting started. Because Tammy arrived. That's why. All right, let's do it. So here's some other stuff. So Morgan Stanley's top 4 themes and top 10 predictions for 2026. Okay. Look at it. Morgan Stanley, huge investment bank out there, right? Like these guys, this institutional money, this is who controls where a lot of the money goes. So look at, they're talking about AI and tech diffusion, the future of energy, the multipolar world, and the societal shifts, right? So here's some of the top 10 predictions from Morgan Stanley, and we're just going to cover the bullet points. But 2 worlds of LLM progress and AI adoption, right? Frontier models achieve a step change increase. So AI is going to get better in 2026. Compute demand will exceed the supply, right? The demand for more chips, the demand for more infrastructure exceeds the amount of that infrastructure that we have now. A robust U.S. policy agenda, right? Securing domestic supply of critical minerals, uranium, metals, AI tech transfer coupled with push for national self-sufficiency and greater gross domestic intelligence, right? The politics of energy, greater convergence of AI and energy. China will grow the global technology manufacturing market share while the U.S. experiences a reshoring renaissance. This is a lot of jobs coming back to the U.S. because of the incentives of the tariff. In Latin America, trifecta of change, policy shifts, changing geopolitics, and peak interest rates drive Latin America toward a new investment cycle. It's pretty cool. I'm in Latin America right now, Panama. Who knows? There's probably a big boom that's gonna ongo here. Reskilling initiatives, AI job loss policy intervention. This is an interesting one. Government initiatives seek to reskill workers in response to AI-driven job shifts, right? This is kind of like they need people who know AI, so transformative AI drives deflation. Look at that, drives deflation. Remember, as technology advances, things get cheaper, faster, and better. But cheaper is the main word here, right? So that's also where the amount of money that's going to be spent there's more of it spent every year. So that's what causes inflation. We have to keep printing money. But there's also there's the optimist in me who thinks, man, AI is going to make everything so much more efficient to the point where, hey, this is how you make a telephone for $1, or this is how you can make this thing for $10, and it's just going to deflate the value of a lot of things that we deem expensive. Changes in asset valuations and national competitiveness. Look at in the second half of 2026, there are early signs of rapid price declines in a range of economic activity, which in turn drives greater wage inequality, greater capital expenditure, and the risk of upward pressure on interest rates and rising value for assets that cannot be replicated by AI. I'm going to repeat that last one again. Rising value for assets that cannot be replicated by AI. Somebody throw something in the chat. What's an asset that can't be replicated by AI? That was interesting. Bitcoin. Bitcoin can't be replicated. It's actually the only asset that is truly finite. Yes, Tammy, commodities cannot be replicated by AI. But the thing is, we're still going to see commodities go up. But the problem is with commodities is once we start going into outer space, how much gold will we find on asteroids? How much silver will we find on asteroids, right? When the price of gold goes up, more people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go start mining gold, right? So more supply can be produced. But Bitcoin is the only true thing, is one of the few assets that is truly scarce, that is truly finite, right? Not scarce. A lot of assets are scarce, but it's truly finite, right? And that's what a lot of people forget and don't realize about Bitcoin, right? Dennis says sunshine. Yes. That's a finite resource. But yeah, it's interesting. So let's see what happens. I think Bitcoin is probably just doing what gold was doing for like 3 years, where it was just going sideways and doing nothing. And then look at where it's at today. Look at this. There's a lot of stimulus coming in 2026. Bigger tax refunds are coming for 2026. That's due to the big, beautiful bill that passed last year. And if you look into this bill, there's a lot of stimulus, like trillions of dollars worth of stimulus that's going to be ongoing this year. And you can see unleash a $285 billion stimulus, corporate America's greatest EBITDA pivot. Okay. So interesting. Lots of stimulative things this year. Okay. Is Trump sending out a $2,000 tariff rebate check in 2026? That's also potentially on the horizon, right? Again, free money, right? It's also a midterm year, right? Look at the green line here. This is the average seasonality of the S&P 500 in midterm years, right? You can see that usually the best year for the S&P 500 is election years. The next best year is midterm years, okay? So this green line right here, okay? Now, something weird, post-election years, when there's not an election, right, the market seasonality is actually usually sideways, which is interesting. So we're both in a post-election year and a midterm year. So it's interesting. But yeah, the midterm should do pretty good for the market. And maybe something is in it for Bitcoin. We'll see. Another day, another high. Gold surges past $5,100 as investors seek shelter from global risk. You saw the thing I talked about in the beginning with the Japanese yen intervention. And it's just like when stuff like that happens, when governments really put their foot into things, really slam things down like that, yeah, there's just more and more flight to safety. Like, it's just I'm going to reiterate it. It's a really weird time right now. Okay. Now, on the topic of gold and Bitcoin, okay, so here's a post from Michael Van de Pope. This is the fourth time in history that the Bitcoin valuation against gold hits a RSI of 30. So an RSI is a relative strength index. It looks at what it sounds like the relative strength of an asset, right? And you can see when you measure Bitcoin to gold, which is in a uptrend, but also is maybe starting to break down a little bit. It is in these pockets that it usually hits during Bitcoin bear markets, right? You can see that there. And now we're kind of entered the same regime, right? And capital likes to rotate. So there's a lot of capital in gold right now. I wonder what happens when they catch a whiff of the Bitcoin momentum and what is possible there. Maybe right now is not the worst time to be selling gold, or at least a chunk of it, to buy Bitcoin. Now, I did that personally in 2025, like around the April time frame, and you can see it actually went lower. But still, I got a bunch of gold. I got a bunch of Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just interesting. Like this is a trade. Like that capital from gold to Bitcoin probably will rotate at some point. And that's a lot of money. There was a lot of market cap, a lot of zeros added to the market cap of gold and silver. Okay. So now we're going to go with some charts from Tech Dev. You guys know I'm subscribed to him. He's fantastic when he does analysis, more macro level analysis, nothing super short term, but he does have some more short term scenarios that he released just this weekend that I want to go through real quick. Okay. So we're going to look at some charts. This is a chart of Bitcoin right here. Okay. And he's drawing out two potential scenarios, and all of these are different fractals. So he's looking at previous times that Bitcoin had certain movements, and yeah, just plotting it over. So he was saying, hey, if we cross 95K, that potentially sets us up for a really nice run. But if we cross 87K, we could potentially be in for a ride, right? And Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Bitcoin does. It's kind of hanging on by a thread here. It could potentially go to make new lows, and then it's got 70K to go down, which were the lows that Bitcoin made back in April of last year. And this is against gold, but still. Look at this. This is the inverted chart of Bitcoin. So what he did was sometimes it's easy to hold a bias because we want things to go up in value. But he's also saying when you look at it a little bit objectively, this is the price of Bitcoin upside down, right? And he's saying how the structure that we're in, this was 2021 to 2022, right? Bitcoin makes two lows, goes up, consolidates in a bull flag, and then breaks out, right? But the breakout is actually a breakdown because the numbers here go smaller, right? And he's saying this time also looks very similar to 2022, right? And tech dev loves to do these fractals, right? Fractals. So he's saying, hey, look, right now it looks very similar to what it looked like in 2022, right? Which could potentially send us way up into $60,000 or $70,000, which wouldn't be great. But it's what happens in investing sometimes. This is the same chart, right? Just drawn a little differently or extended a little bit. You can see that, hey, if the downside does come, right, this is something to look forward to, or it's a potential scenario, right? Which is why we preach you should be diversified. And it's also why we have the vaults and why we have the signals. So we have more mechanical approaches to managing our crypto, not just buying and holding and praying and, all of this. I hope the price goes up, because sometimes it doesn't. Eventually it will. But how much pain are you going to sit through to get there, right? This is 2022. This is 2026. Looks eerily similar, especially when you put the chart upside down. Like this looks bullish, right? Oh my God, it's breaking out. Let's rush in and buy the thing, but it's actually breaking down because it's flipped upside down. This is another interesting fractal that he has, looking at Amazon and Ethereum. We've looked at this before. This is just a little bit of a different chart. You can see it has the same RSI, which looks at the relative strength of the asset, right? This is Amazon from 2002 to 2009, right? And you can see it goes up and it goes in this long sideways period, kind of like Ethereum has been since 2024, right? It has this marginally higher high. We had a marginally higher high than 2024's high. And then the stock price of Amazon went down. It touched this 382 Fibonacci that he's drawn in. It revisits this little circle right here, right? Price goes up, revisits that circle, and then it goes up, right? And we're potentially looking at $100, which is not fun. But this is sometimes how assets have to move. Look at the RSI. The RSI also looks eerily similar to how Amazon looked, right? Down, 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 up, down, new low, and then we start, right? Potentially, we're going to go down, make a new low, and then, Ethereum could be on its way to $20,000, right? And look at, he's got this on a 2-week chart. He's got Ethereum on a 5-day chart, right? So it's that speed that I'm talking about. Like markets are moving faster. Things are taking longer to play out or shorter to play out, right? And remember, this is the chart of Amazon. Look at, this is when it topped out in 2003, or actually in the 2000s, somewhere over there. But look at how long it went sideways from 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And then in 2010, it finally started running. So there's a similarity there as well. This is the reverse accumulation fractal on Ethereum. And he's got the chart inverted, right? So he's saying, hey, look at this. Boom, boom, boom. The only thing I don't like about this is usually in accumulation or distribution, you have a new low that is made, and then you have the resumption. This is a little bit of cheating because there wasn't a new low made, okay? But I see what he's trying to draw out here. It's not the cleanest draw, but It's an idea, right? There's some accumulation or distribution going on here. That's usually what the smart money is doing, right? Are they accumulating Ethereum? Are they distributing it? I'm not sure. But oh, okay, I see. So this is yeah. So the chart is inverted, right? So he's kind of showing how potentially, usually, right? This is if ETH starts to run from here, right? So we break down, okay, and look, the chart is inverted, so the number goes up as the chart goes down. What's up, Falcon? Good to see you in here. So could be potential, you know. And now let's talk about some vaults and some strategies, okay? I want to talk about Leo Bitcoin Bull Run here because we do have that vault. It has not taken a trade since October, right? Just to remind you, this is a long only strategy. Okay, this is since 2023. Okay, this vault is open for deposits, but it's also been in cash since October. Okay, you can see that since October, it's done a 270% gain. It has not outperformed Bitcoin since then, but with drawdowns and especially losses that it took, it has. And again, if you go back before the bottom of Bitcoin, you should see this outperform Bitcoin on a long term. Okay, but the reason why I'm drawing attention to this is because there is a pretty nice amount of value in Leo Bitcoin Bull Run. And I also want to just remind you that the strategy itself, this is more of your buy and hold strategy, right? Like you can see that when Leo Bitcoin Bull Run gets into a trade and it gets into a good one, it's going to hold it for some time. Like this was, bought in 2023, didn't sell until like summertime, right? Then it holds for the summertime until September. Then it buys in November of 2023, holds that into summer of 2024. So this is like your really like buy and hold type of strategy on Bitcoin, right? This is your buy and hold type of strategy on Bitcoin. If the lines are gray, it's out of the market, it's not participating. Okay, it'll get chopped out. You can see it went into some drawdown here, 22% from highs to lows. But it has been trading and keeping up with Bitcoin well, especially in the bull runs. That's why it's got bull run in the name. Okay, so this is your bull run buy and hold approach. Okay, this vault is 2 supernovas minimum right now. Okay, because well, it's a buy and hold. There's less management. There's less activity. Also, it's got reduced fees, right? 15% performance, 2% management. But I want to draw your attention to a potential outperformer, which is Gemini Bitcoin, in the same time frame with the short side, right? So this will participate more. It's a more dynamic strategy. But you could see an 843% return since 2023. And by the way, past performance is not indicative of future results. That is very important, right? This is only a back test, and we're only now in the forward test of seeing its real results. And it did close a profitable trade, which was pretty awesome. But these are supposed to be improvements on the previous models for crypto, for our crypto strategies, okay? And you can see this one's massively outperformed it. I don't need to go into the real comparisons. You guys can find that in our resources. But look at that. It still has a very small amount of drawdown, 12%. A lot more trades, 68 versus 20, right? So again, it's more dynamic. You can see that here, right? Trades a lot more. Okay, it's actually usually in the market on some direction, right? Whereas Bitcoin Bull Run still hasn't been in it, hasn't been in a trade since October, so it's just been sitting in cash. But yeah, you can see very dynamic strategy, right? So again, and this is again to put out the final warning. On February 1st, all of the Geminis, all of the Leos are going to be a 2 supernova minimum. Okay. And we also do currently have a buy 4, get 1 free supernova. And that's just the supernovas on OpenSea. I think currently the floor price is very small, like 300 $290,000. So again, if you guys have been wanting to add $291, so it's actually less because the price of Ethereum has fallen. So less than $300 for the supernovas on OpenSea, and it looks like there's only one listed at that price, or maybe two. I'm not sure, but a very few. And then the price goes up to 350 and then 400. But it's currently at 291, at least one of these supernovas. And yeah, so, after February 1st, it is going to be a 2 supernova minimum. And we are also in the process of doing a little bit of a audit on all of our supernova holders and where they're whitelisted, just to make sure, people still have the right amount of supernovas for the amount of vaults they're whitelisted into. And we might send out some notices in the coming weeks saying, hey, look, you've only got 2 supernovas, but you're whitelisted for 3. It looks like you sold some supernovas. So just keep that in mind. But yes, Raymond, it's going to be buy 4. So you sweep 4 on OpenSea, you're going to get 1 for free. And with the prices as they are right now, I mean, you're getting your supernovas for like an average of $250, I think, just with that discount and the current prices that are on OpenSea right now. These do look like some pretty nice upgrades to the strategy. Before we get into that, I completely misplaced the slide. But yeah, so again, that's going to be until February 1st. We do have some good traction, some good movement on the Geminis, which also our Scorpios are trading. So yeah, if you want to get whitelisted into some of these Geminis and these Leos, if you want to see some of the results, at least the back-tested ones, and again, past performance is not indicative of future results, do check out those slideshows that I've made and that I've shared in the groups that we have for the Managed Vault. But what I wanted to talk about, okay, is to kind of loop this back to potentially some expectation, right? Like, these things are things that can happen. You saw what I just drew out with Tech Dev, okay? He's got some bearish scenarios. He's got some bullish ones too, right? His mindset right now is market short-term more bearish, long-term still super bullish, right? And I actually will draw your attention to what gold and silver are doing right now, right? And look at what the price of gold and silver were doing for decades previous, right? And then again, time is moving quicker now. But Bitcoin, you can see here, this is the total market cap of crypto. Ain't really done much in like the last 2 years here. Very little. But this is the Federal Reserve balance sheet, right? Which we've been in a tightening cycle since 2022, right? And that's kind of where crypto topped out and started its bear market, right? Because a lot of liquidity got drained from the system. And since then, because of the Bitcoin ETFs, there's been a lot of this institutional adoption, a lot of this institutional bid, which has been pushing the market higher. There's been the tokenization, the stable coins, and all sorts of crazy stuff with adoption taking place. But we've been swimming upstream for a really long time because the Fed was not playing ball, right? And you can see the balance sheet is at the lowest that it's ever been, or at least since 2022, right? Not ever, but in a long time. But we are going to see this turn around this year, right? We are going to see their reverse, what are they calling them? Reverse management purchases, RPM, reverse purchase agreements, QE, but not QE, but QE. And I point to this fractal. We've covered this before, but this again, just to show, right? In 2019, when the Fed also moved from cutting or from tightening to easing, right? You can see their balance sheet went up by 25% in 266 days. And in the same time frame, Bitcoin, or the total market cap of crypto, dropped by 72%, right? So it does not mean that crypto risk assets are going to immediately go up, but it does mean that soon, right, we could be looking forward to a crazy period like we saw in 2021 and 2020. Okay, because you can see that here. expansion of the balance sheet, expansion of the crypto market, full on risk, right? But yeah, so Bitcoin is out. Okay, Bitcoin closed its trade. Nice. Eric is up 500%. That's crazy. That's that silver trade. I wish I got a lot more silver. I didn't get enough. I'll tell you that. I got some, and I'm up, but I wish I got a little more. But you can see here we closed a short position that closed about 5% in profit, which is really cool. Taurus got some points for that. Today, the trailing stop did hit. I try to kind of alert everybody in our crypto signals chat. So the way that these strategies are different now is, I think in the last 2 bars or like just today, the trailing stop loss activated for Bitcoin, right? And it's like this interesting management where like as the price of Bitcoin was going down, the stop loss was also going down. And then today we got stopped out, but for profit, right? And that's the difference of how Gemini Bitcoin used to trade Bitcoin, and it wasn't as good at managing those trades as it is right now, right? And we saw that here. You could see 4.6% in profit. You can see the last 2 trades that it took actually were small losers, right? You can see it had a really good trade in November here of 9.3%. And another trade of 7%. So like if Gemini Bitcoin had V4 in November we would have closed probably a 16% month. Yeah, you could see about 16% as the crypto market was selling off brutally, right? And yeah, but it's cool because Gemini Bitcoin V2 did not do these types of numbers in November and definitely did not do these types of numbers this month. So we're already starting the month off to a really good month. And we got really a good trade to kick us off. So congratulations to those in Gemini Bitcoin. And it's open. So again, I'm personally going to be moving over some of my Leo Bitcoin bull run into Gemini Bitcoin. I think that there's a lot of potential with that one. The results look promising. Again, past performance is not indicative of future results, but I have a hunch that they're going to be better results than what we had before. You can see Gemini Bitcoin is back in action. So we're closing about a 10% month, which is really nice. Gemini Bitcoin V2 closed this out with a profitable trade. And then V4 got us into another profitable trade. It was really cool, really good timing. And you can see, pretty nice. Share price is recovering. Again, reminder, after February 1st, all of these Gemini Leo strategies going to be 2 supernovas. Okay, so get your whitelists in while you have time. And if you're not diversified, think about it. We got that deal going on OpenSeas. Gemini ETH is still holding its short position. You can see here about 8% into profit, 8.8% into profit. So that was also a really good timing here. Okay, really good timing here. You can see that was preceded by a long trade, which did stop out. So didn't feel as good, but you can see how quickly it goes from the long trade into the short trade. And then it recovers its loss, which is really, really cool management from these systems. Really cool management. And you can see Gemini ETH is also moving strong, up 8.9% just in the last week. So we're following this strategy pretty well. Okay. So again, we're seeing some green on the screen and a really nice start to the year, even though generally for crypto holders, right, not the best start to the year, but for us Gemini investors, nice start to the year. That's for sure. Only Gemini ETH is in a trade currently. Okay, you can see that here. That's the only one in a trade. So Bitcoin closed its trade. Cardano, if anybody's trading that, also closed its trade. You can see for a profit as well. And Solana, it got into a long trade before we got V4. It closed that long trade also for a profit. And since then, just has been staying sidelined, staying out of the market. Okay. All of the Leos are out. Obviously, long side has not been in for quite some time. You can see Leo Solana wouldn't have had any positions since like September into the new year, around the new year. It got into a profitable trade, not the biggest profit, but good enough, very small profit. Cardano's been out for quite some time, since October. Ethereum's been out since December. Looks like it got chopped out of some long trades here. And then Bitcoin's also, Bitcoin has been struggling with the breakout. So it's been trying, but it has been failing, So yeah. Now, on the stock strategies, as I mentioned, NVIDIA is currently in the market. You can see we're sitting at about a break even. It has a very tight stop loss of 1.5%. So very often it does get stopped out, but sometimes it can hold a nice trade that runs in its favor, right? Like from June to August, there was a really good trade in NVIDIA. And since then, yeah, it's given back some of these points, but NVIDIA has also been kind of going sideways for some time as well. Yeah, since about July. So, we're potentially attempting a breakout. It might succeed, it might not. Let's see what happens. And all of our other stocks are also sidelined. Okay, so currently NVIDIA is the only one in. You can see Tesla is out. MicroStrategy is out. We had a fantastic short trade in MicroStrategy or strategy. They took the micro out. They're not so micro anymore. Biggest Bitcoin holder outside the US government. Nice short trade in MSTR. FNGU is still on the sidelines. Really good to sit out all that noise. TQQQ, sideways. Nothing to do here. Hasn't taken a trade since October. And IBIT, Bitcoin Trust, also out of the market as well. And that's everything that I have for you today. Cool, right on time, 12 minutes. Do you have any questions? Any comments, anything? What's up, Billy? Jay-Z, AR Crypto School, E-Money. Yes, sir. Woo! No questions. When Lambo? When Lambo? Give Gemini Bitcoin 1 year, and I think we'll have some Lambos. All right. Let's go. Crazy market, but we're staying on the right side. Are all the vaults using the new strategy? Yes, Dennis. Gemini Solana, Leo Solana, all of them. All of them are V4 now. We've made the full transition. Yes, sir. Put the down payment down. Guys, gals, Gemini Bitcoin is open for deposits if you want to get that in. I do want to just bring your attention to this chart right here. I just want to show you something. Look at Gemini Bitcoin. Like the deposit windows, because we do close deposits when we're out of trades, right? Like it's not usually out of trades. Okay, so this is a very special moment. Like it's actually quite a rare moment that we're out of trades. Sometimes we're out, but we're very frequently in trades. Okay, we're very frequently in the trade. So if you're sitting there thinking about it, like you might miss your chance. Okay. So as Gaven said, Bitcoin Leo bull run, he moved all of his into Gemini Bitcoin. I'm going to move a large portion of mine now that the window is open. And not a recommendation, but if you're holding Leo Bitcoin bull run, just an idea, right? Diversify your Bitcoin stack. Dennis says, when do you think Sol is going to join the other Geminis? I don't know what you mean by that. We already updated it to V4. But if you're saying when is Sol going to start moving, well, that's up to Sol. We had a trailing stop in the Bitcoin short today. Can you please explain what trailing stop is? Yeah, so basically what these new strategies, how they manage the downside or how they manage the trades themselves is at a certain point, the the trailing stop loss got triggered in the script, okay? And that was a very tight trailing stop of like 1.5%, 1.3%. And basically, when price or momentum hits a certain level, what happens is the strategy activates this trailing stop loss. So maybe before it would have just fully closed out the position, but now it's saying, well, actually, let's manage the stop loss better. So if price continues to go down, we will go down with the price. Now that stop loss does dynamically adjust. I'm in talks with the community to see if there's any way that the alert can be created and stuff like that. I know that the stop loss is it's very dynamic. It's not 1.3% all the time. It's based on the average true range and a multiplier of that and like all these crazy technical things. But basically, if you see my message, in the crypto chats that the trailing stop loss is activated, because I can see on our back end when the trailing stop is activated. Just know to be, and if you're trading these yourself, just know to be like very attentive to the signals chat, because at some point that exit is going to come in and you want to close out your trade. Okay. Now I know that it's very hard to even set trailing stop losses in exchanges. I don't even know of any centralized exchanges that support it. So it's just one of those things where you got to be on the ball, right? And again, that's the value of being a vault investor, because, well, the trades are managed for you. You don't got to sit there and micromanage and trail your stops and, oh, I got to have my notifications on. But yeah, so that's out of the trade now. So that's again, it's more management. It's better now. Is it too late to enter the gold, silver, copper? Which would you prioritize? Luis, yeah, I mean, they've run pretty hard, I don't know. I can't answer that question. How's Taurus? Michael Gross says. Well, Taurus is doing good. We took some short trades from the Bitcoin and the ETH strategy. We've also, another update on Taurus is Nigel is not going to be trading a portion of Taurus anymore because of compliance. It's better if he doesn't. So we actually now have more capital in the Gemini strategies. So it's going to be full Gemini Bitcoin, Gemini ETH, and then Gemini Solana whenever it can join the party. Okay. And then Gemini Solana whenever it does join the party. So we are doing that. Yeah, a lot of people rushing into gold right now. Interesting. Yep. All right. Well, we're almost at time, and I don't see any more questions unless y'all have them. Let me see. Holding you to that Lambo comment. All right. Who knows? Maybe AI will find a way to make Lamborghinis more affordable. Because even if I made enough money to get a Lambo, I don't know if I want a Lambo. I'd rather hold onto an asset. I need like the buying power of 1,000 Lambos, and then I'll take a Lambo. Get your Gemini on. Yes, sir. We need Renee to make a Gemini. Get your Gemini on song. That'd be kind of funny. Cambos. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, maybe I'll get a Cambo. All right, guys, I'm gonna run. I know that there's a special Money Monday tonight with Lorenzo, so make sure to get your butts over there and learn about taxes, because those are important in crypto. But yeah, have a good one, and we'll see you. Is inside the vault this week? Actually, is it this week or is it next week? When's the first Saturday? It's next week. This Saturday is the 31st. So yeah, and hopefully by then we got some more upside on this on these Geminis to show as well. Thoughts about OXC coin? I would guess that it's complete garbage. I would guess that it's complete garbage. I'm not a fan of a lot of cryptos anymore. I just want the ones that really do something and that don't give me a whole bunch of drawdown or rug pulls. But yeah. All right. Wrapping this up. See you guys. Catch you on the next one. See you next week.